Hello, children. I hope you all are happy and safe today. Welcome to our special English hour. Here, every day, we will learn something new in a fun and exciting way. We will begin our day with another tongue twister. Are you all excited? Our new tongue twister is I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. Let me repeat it for you once again. I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. Now, let's increase the speed a little bit more. Are you all ready? We have to say this tongue twister 5 times with the same speed. Let's go. I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine. Oops. I could only do it 2 times. But I am sure that with practice, all of us will be able to say this tongue twister 5 times with the same speed. I hope you all had fun saying the tongue twister with me. Now, we all know that words are very important for a language. So we will learn some new words. I want all of you to listen to me very carefully. Our first word is gazing. 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 Our second word is panorama. 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 Our third word is precaution. 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 Our fourth word is ecstatic. 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 Our fifth and the last word is souvenir. 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 Children, have you ever wondered what it would be like to travel to the moon? Sounds very interesting, right? Let us find out what happens in this wonderful adventure when Siley travels to the moon. Please open page number 24 of your English Balbharati textbook. If you have a textbook, point your finger on the words as I read them. But if you don't have a textbook, please don't worry. Listen to me carefully. The name of our chapter is The Souvenir. With the tip of her nose pressed to the window of the space shuttle, Siley sat gazing at the view outside for so long. Still, she didn't seem to be contented. She had read the description of this view several times before and had seen this scene on the video too. But this was different. Reading the description was one thing. Watching the pictures and videos captured by the camera was another. But getting an opportunity to view that amazing panorama with your own eyes, being present physically right in the midst of it, was indeed an out of the world experience. No matter how long she sat gazing, her awe and wonder did not seem to abate. The earth gradually appeared to get smaller and smaller in the sky. The azure blue sky was now looking jet black. The clouds had disappeared. The stars were shining bright. Can you all tell me where was Siley traveling to? Yes, she was traveling to the moon. In this passage, we saw how Siley was sitting in the window seat of her space shuttle. She was gazing at the view outside through her window. Gazing means to look at something very carefully and with a lot of interest. Siley had read about the views in the books and also seen pictures of them. But now she was looking at the view with her own eyes. Can you imagine how wonderful that experience would be? Now let us read the next passage. This trip to the moon was exorbitantly expensive, but still, Siley's mother had sent her on the trip. In our childhood, we could not even think of such long distance trips. The longest trip meant going to Europe. If you are getting this opportunity, make the most of it, said Mummy. Oh, Mummy, Neha's grandmother was saying that in their childhood, the longest trip for school children used to be only up to Delhi or Kolkata. It seems so funny, isn't it? Said Siley, laughing. Remembering the incident made her laugh even now. Here we see how Siley is remembering a conversation she had with her mother back when she was home. Here, her mother is telling her how the trip to the moon is exorbitantly expensive, which means very, very costly. And that's why Siley should make the most of it. Her mother also tells her that back when she was in school, her school only took her to Europe for a trip. Now the shuttle was getting closer and closer to the moon. Then it started orbiting the moon. In every 32 minutes, the shuttle completed one revolution round the moon. Light and darkness followed each other in quick succession. The dome-shaped settlements on the moon, which resembled the igloos of the Eskimos, were now visible. After some time, Siley's shuttle made a slow, measured, and safe landing on the moon. The door of the shuttle was opened, and the children were escorted through an airtight tunnel to the settlement at the Neil Armstrong base. Wow! Siley's space shuttle was moving closer and closer to the moon. It had started orbiting around the moon. In every 32 minutes, it completes one revolution. Revolution means to revolve around with something at the center. Here, it means that the space shuttle was revolving around the moon. After some time, very slowly and carefully, the space shuttle landed on the moon. The receptionist at the entrance to the base gave some instructions at the very outset. I welcome you all to the Neil Armstrong base. To make your stay on the moon pleasant and comfortable, I would like you to take certain precautions. Listen carefully to my instructions and please follow them during your stay. You know that the gravitational force of the moon is 1/6 that of the earth. In the human settlements on the moon, a gravitational force equivalent to that of the earth has been artificially maintained. But outside those settlements, the gravitational force of the moon is at work. You will have to be extremely careful when you roam around there. The second point to remember is related to shopping on the moon. You all must be interested in carrying souvenirs back home from the moon. Please buy the articles only from the shops which are inside the dome-shaped settlements. There, you will be assured of genuine articles. Do not buy anything from the unauthorized shops outside the settlement. I wish you a very happy and pleasant stay on the moon. So, everyone has reached the Neil Armstrong base. Before we move ahead, let me ask you all a question. Please look at me very carefully. Can you all tell me, when I dropped the pen, why did it go down and not up? Yes, the pen fell down because of gravitational force. The force that pulls objects down is called gravitational force. The gravitational force on Earth is very high, and that's why all of us are able to stand and do all the actions that we do. But on the moon, the gravitational force is very low, and that is why we see pictures of astronauts and things flying about there. Now, in this story, we saw how people have created settlements in the moon. Settlements means that they live there. They have created their house there and they live. But since the gravitational force of the moon is very low, they have created an area where the gravitational force is similar to that of the earth. But outside these settlements, the gravitational force is that of the moon. And that is why the receptionist at the Neil Armstrong base tells all the children that as a precaution, they should be careful while stepping out of the settlement. Now, precaution means the steps that we take in order to avoid a dangerous situation. The receptionist also tells them that they would like to buy souvenirs, right? But she asks them to buy these souvenirs from the settlements and not anywhere outside. Souvenirs are the objects or things that we carry back home as a reminder of a place, thing, or an event. For example, when I went to the beach the first time, I carried sand and seashells as a souvenir of the beach. Now let us see what happens next. A jam-packed 3 days program awaited the children on the moon. According to the Earth calculations, on the moon there were 15 days of daylight and 15 days of nighttime. The 3 days of the trip were going to be part of the night time on the moon. One of the most important programs of the first day was Skywatch. On the Earth, it was usually foggy and the stars were seen rarely and only very faintly. There was no atmosphere on the moon. On the dark background of the moon sky, the stars shone dazzling bright. The most attractive view was that of the disk of the Earth. In the moon sky, the Earth looked 13 times bigger than the moon in the Earth sky. It was also 70 times brighter. The Earth light fell on the moon. This beautiful, enchanting view made Siley and her friends ecstatic. They fell asleep feeling happy, excited, and comfortable at the same time. The 3-day trip to the moon was filled with adventure. They know that according to the Earth's calculation, here at moon, 15 days is night and 15 days is day. And this 3-day trip was at night. The first stop was at stargazing. When they looked up at the sky, all of them were astounded. Because when we look at the sky from the Earth, it's foggy and a little blurry. But from the moon, where there is no atmosphere, everything was clear and bright. The stars were twinkling beautifully. The second day's attraction was the circus on the moon. One unique feature of the circus was the seating arrangement. The spectators were made to sit in the tent and the circus was going on outside. High jumps and long jumps were the special attractions. One gymnast jumped 27 meters high. On both the days, besides the main attractions, much time was reserved for visiting the various settlements there. It was expected that the students should spend some time for self-study. The teacher had assigned them the task of writing an essay on how they spent their time on the moon, which places they visited, what they observed, etc. Siley and her friends had traveled far and wide and had done a lot of sightseeing. The second day at the moon was time for circus. The one thing that was completely different about the circus on the moon was the seating arrangement. All the people were asked to sit inside the tent, and the circus was happening outside. Long jumps and high jumps were a special. One of the gymnasts jumped 24-meter high. Can you imagine that? Do you know why was the circus happening outside the tent? Yes, this is because the gravitational pull outside the tent was very low. So the gymnasts were easily able to jump high. On the third day, their teacher took them to a place of historical importance. 100 years ago, Neil Armstrong had landed at this place. Everyone was looking forward to this visit to the historical monument. It was the oldest place in the history of man on the moon. The first footprint of Neil Armstrong was preserved on the moonland. Beside the footprint was a grand statue of Armstrong. At the base of the statue were carved the first words uttered by a human on the moon. One small step for a man, one giant leap of mankind. Did you all wonder Why was the base named Neil Armstrong Base? Yes, it was because just like we discussed, Neil Armstrong was the first person to land on the moon. And that's why the base is named after him. The third day on the moon, all the children were taken to an attraction of historical importance. Can you guess what it was? Yes, it was to see the footprint of Neil Armstrong, the first man to land on the moon. The people there had preserved his footprint. And right next to his footprint was a huge statue of Neil Armstrong. And under the statue was a quote that Neil Armstrong had said. One small step for a man, a giant leap for mankind. These were the first words that a human had said on the moon. The next attraction for the children was that they were going to wear the spacesuits for the first time. Then they were going to roam outside, experiencing the gravitational force of the moon. Be careful when you walk, dear children. Don't run or sprint, you will fall. The teacher was warning repeatedly. But who was in the mood to listen? They hopped, jumped, and ran around. Buy ornaments especially made from the stones on the moon. Very cheap, cheaper than those available in the shops in the settlement. Cheaper and better. At least have a look. The roadside shopkeepers screamed at the top of their voice. Buy, sister, buy! I am selling these earrings really cheap. Saying this, he approached slyly and displayed the sets of shining stones earrings. Sally suddenly remembered her mother. Tomorrow, they were to start on their return journey. She had completely forgotten her mother in the last 3 days. She felt terribly guilty. Buy these, sister. Don't think much. Cheaper and better. Take it. Sally looked around. The other children had proceeded ahead. Come on, give me those red earrings, quick. Sally pointed at them and asked, What's the price? Only 1,000 rupees, replied the salesman. Sally immediately paid the amount, took the earrings, and ran to catch up with her friends. The next attraction on the list was something all the children were extremely excited about. Yes, it was finally time to wear the spacesuits and walk around the moon. Finally, on the way back to the settlement, they saw a lot of people selling different kinds of pretty jewelry. When one of them approached Sally to buy, Sally remembered that she had completely forgotten about her mother in the past 3 days. Now Sally felt very guilty. Guilty means to feel bad about something. Now Sally immediately bought a pair of red shiny jewelry. On returning home, Sally told her mother very enthusiastically, Mummy, look what I brought for you. Her mother picked up the earrings. She exclaimed, Hello dear, how am I supposed to wear such heavy earrings? Sally immediately realized her mistake. Sally had purchased the earrings in the field of the moon's gravity. I hope you all liked learning with me today. Here we talked a lot about moon, space and a lot of different things. Now I want all of you to close your eyes and imagine that you have landed on the moon. Can you all tell me what is the first thing you will do? The first thing that I would do is jump as high as I can. Yes. Now I want all of you to write your response down in your notebook. I will see you all in the next session. Until then, stay home, stay safe, and bye bye.